When I turned 68, I thought I'd earned peace. I spent my life working 2 jobs, raising 3 ungrateful kids after their father walked out, and never once did I ask for anything in return. My bones ached from years of bending over cleaning houses and standing for long shifts in grocery stores. My hands were no longer smooth, they were road maps of sacrifice. But apparently, my children didn't see any of that. It started subtly. My son David stopped calling. My daughter Lena would cancel our Sunday lunches, always with some excuse. Work, the kids, her husband's golf tournament. And Jacob, the youngest, my baby, only ever showed up when he needed money for rent or a car payment. Then, one day, they showed up together. All 3. That alone should have been a red flag. They smiled and hugged me and brought takeout. They laughed at my jokes. They acted like they cared. Until Lena cleared her throat and said, "Mom, we've been talking, and we think you'd be happier somewhere with more people your age. You're all alone here. You deserve more company." I blinked. "What are you saying?" David leaned forward. "We found you a nice place, Mom. A community. With nurses and staff and friends. You won't have to cook or clean ever again." I stared at them. "I'm not dying." "It's not like that," Jacob chimed in. "It's like assisted living. But I don't need assistance." Their faces hardened, one by one. "That's not your decision anymore, Mom," Lena said quietly. That's when I knew. They'd already made arrangements. And sure enough, 2 days later, a van came. My things were packed not by me. My photos, my clothes, even my cat was handed to the neighbors. My house was locked behind me. I hadn't even been allowed to say goodbye to the garden I built with my own 2 hands. At the home, I was handed a laminated schedule and a roommate who coughed all night. The food was bland, the staff was kind but overworked, and my kids, they didn't visit. Not once. I called. Voicemail. I wrote letters. No response. Then, 6 weeks in, I saw a real estate listing. My house, online, fully staged, for sale. They'd sold it. Without my permission. I was shaking. I had worked for that house my whole life. Paid it off. Made it beautiful. It was mine. And they'd stolen it. I wanted to scream. To cry. But instead I laughed. A low, bitter chuckle. Because they'd made one mistake. They didn't know my secret. Let me tell you a story. One my kids never bothered to ask about. When I was 22, long before I met their father, I worked for a wealthy widow named Mrs. Thornberry. She was kind, lonely, and had no children. I was her housekeeper, her errand runner, and eventually her companion. She taught me about art, about literature, about investing. When she died, she left me everything. Not just her estate, but her portfolio. I sold most of it, bought my house, raised my kids in comfort they never questioned. The rest, I invested quietly, safely, patiently. And over 4 decades, it grew. Let's just say I could buy my house 10 times over now. But I never told my children. Not out of spite, but because I wanted them to learn to build their own lives. They didn't. And now it was time for my own plan. I made one call. Just one. "Hello, Edward?" The voice on the other end laughed. "It's been years, Margaret. You finally need the lawyer?" "Yes," I said. "And tell the driver to bring the good car." The next morning, the staff at the home were buzzing. "Is someone famous coming?" one whispered. Outside, a black stretch limo pulled up. A chauffeur in a suit stepped out holding a sign with my name. I stood at the doorway with my one bag. "Where are you going, Miss Margaret?" a nurse asked. "Home," I said with a smile. And I walked out, head high, past the whispers and the stares. The next day, my children received certified letters. From my lawyer. Each contained the same: a cease and desist for fraudulently selling my home. A civil suit for elder abuse, forged consent, and theft. A permanent disinheritance notice. A photo of me in a luxury suite by the beach, sipping champagne, with the caption, thriving. Suddenly, they remembered how to call. David. Mom, let's talk. Blocked. Lena. It was just a misunderstanding. Blocked. Jacob. I didn't know what they were doing. Double blocked. I wasn't angry anymore. I was done. In the months that followed, I rebuilt my life. I bought a house near the sea, hired a private chef, took up pottery, started a little scholarship fund for girls who wanted to study finance. And every month, I received updates from my lawyer. The lawsuit was moving forward. The sale of my old house had been reversed. My name was trending on TikTok as the grandma who clapped back. I even got a sponsorship offer from a tea company. I declined, but it made me laugh. One day, as I was walking the beach, a woman in her 30s approached me. Excuse me, are you Margaret from the story? I nodded cautiously. She smiled. You're my hero. My brother tried to take our mother's house, but I showed her your story. She stood up to him. I felt my throat tighten. Thank you, she said. You saved my mom. I went home and sat on my porch, watching the waves. For the first time in years, I felt at peace. Not because I had money, not because I had revenge, but because I finally chose me. After a lifetime of putting others first, I realized something important. You're never too old to take back your story. And sometimes, the best comeback is simply thriving without them.